everyone, I'm Heather. I'm back for a really quick video. I'm hoping that we can just, like bang this out super fast. Like even though I'm looking at a pretty massive stack of books, to be honest, that I had a thought to talk about. I'm optimistic about this. I got things to do, people to see in my own house, obviously. So I'm just gonna do my best, bang it out. I'm on my lunch break, but obviously because I'm working from home like a vast majority of the planet at the minute, it's not really like set in stone, like it's not from a time to a time. It's just basically whenever I want to stop working and eat stuff and then just like talk to, various inanimate objects about things that are interesting. I'm eating at the minute for lunch this delicious white wine, which I believe is Sainsbury's grocery store's, best Riesling, if you ask me. And also eating seaweed. So this is nori, the sort of like part that goes around the sushi, but without any of the sushi. And I feel like everyone that responds to that in their mind is going to be in like one of two camps, which is either A, I've had that, I know what it is delightful, and B, just why? Just fucking why? So I think for this one, I'm going to have a chat about the books that I finished and started and acquired since the last time I did one of these like lunch break chats. And I think that was a week ago, but I'm not 100% certain. I have like fallen off the bandwagon, or not bandwagon, the just the normal wagon, the wagon to do with trying to do things for a time. It's like, it's not making any sense, but I have sort of like fallen away from the, video uploading situation. So it may have been a bit of time ago, and I apologize for that. Okay, so the first one, super quick, is Girl Interrupted by Susanna Kaysen. And this one I'm reading for the 90s book club run by Bert's on Past Story Time, So if you follow him and Sean on Past Story Time, you know that he's got this like 90s book club. If you don't know anything about the book, obviously, this girl in the 60s, like it was written in the 90s for the 90s book club, but the girl actually goes to this mental asylum in the 60s, and it's the same one that Sylvia Plath went to, and also a couple of other various sort of famous poets and writers and stuff. And she sort of like goes through her like year and a half or whatever in the hospital, and she obviously does have some sort of like, emotional and sort of mental struggles that she's going through. But after sort of like decades since she's left it, she does sort of question. She's like, did I really have, a mental condition that required me to be hospitalized? Or was it just that in the 60s, me sleeping around wasn't acceptable? And they were like, you must be, mentally deranged because you're promiscuous or whatever. And it's not something that I generally think that I would have read, because I remember the movie of it came out when I was a kid, and I saw the movie, and I think it just wouldn't have ever been on my radar as a book to read, and definitely not as a book, of merit. Like I would imagine, I think thinking back on the movie, it was just like, I don't know, a bit silly. It wasn't really hard hitting at all. I don't remember. I'm gonna have to watch it again, obviously. But going into this book, I didn't expect at all for it to be like a sort of like quite good, quite sort of like thoughtful, like Sylvia Plath type thing. Do you know what I mean? I just sort of thought it would be, I know, a bit silly, but it was really good. It was really good, yeah. Like I sort of like identified with her, like this person who's in a mental asylum, quite hard, which I, am worried about slightly. There's this part in it when she's like trying to think to herself, like, is her problem with following rules at work, is it because the rules are stupid? Or is it because she's mad, she's crazy and she goes to a mental asylum? Like, what is it about her, that can't follow rules while everyone else can follow them and they're fine? Is it because they don't know the rules are stupid, or is it because they're sane and she's not? And I felt like I identified with that quite hard. And I really like that one. Anyway, okay, I'm already rambling, and this is the first book. I need to calm down. Okay, so on the same sort of line as that one, this other book actually weirdly went quite well with this one. So I was reading the two sort of at the same time-ish, and they complemented each other weirdly well. which is Patti Smith's Year of the Monkey. And I think, like, weirdly, speaking of Sean and Bart and Past Our Time again, I think that ages ago, the reason this book went on my list is because they said that it was good, or they sort of recommended it or whatever. And I didn't really know anything about it, except that various people thought it was good. And also it's a library book, and the libraries are about to open again. So I got to read my pile. I'm sorry, I'm just so excited. Like, Starbucks is opening as well down the road, and like no one was super crappy to me at work today, and like tomorrow for work we have like a well-being day, which is one of the days that we get from the university because they feel that the staff are stressed working at home, which is true. But they feel like we need to have extra days off for our personal well-being, so we just have a day off tomorrow, and also the Friday after that, because it's just for our well-being, and I just feel so happy today. I just can't even. Anyway, so this one is Patti Smith. So she's like a sort of rock star, if you will, like a rock band type person. And she is very much, so this is like a memoir about her on a year where she decided to sort of go wandering, you know, just sort of rambling about for her 70th birthday. And she goes to sort of Santa Cruz and sort of around America and stuff, and she meets various people and she talks about various people. And basically the book is about like her thoughts or like her contemplation of this year. And she's got some weird thoughts. Basically, she reminds me of my aunt. I have this aunt who is like super weird in, I feel, a super good way. But obviously, like, when my husband first met her, like, we came through sort of visit her, my uncle, and his first sort of like introduction to my family all was them, like they were sort of the gateway, and they got really drunk, and she sort of just like, you know, did her sort of weird turn on him, and I don't think that he saw that coming and he didn't know what to think. But I personally find her hilarious and also weirdly wise. Like, she'll do just you know, she'll say just the craziest stuff all the time, and then afterwards you just think like, was that the most insane bullshit? Or is she like a seer? Like, she's so wise, she like knows things and sees things in the world that no one else knows, you know? Like, she has like really big eyes, and she'll like stare at you, right? She'll just look at you, looking in the eyes, and just be like, I understand you, I see you, do you want a peanut butter sandwich? You know, and you're like, yeah, okay, like I don't really like peanut butter, but like, if it's going, you know. And then she'll make you a peanut butter sandwich, and then you'll eat it and you'll be like, Jesus Christ, that was like that is 100% what I needed. I just definitely 100% needed that peanut butter sandwich, and who would have ever known, you know? Like, anyway, the point is she insane, or is she the most wise person on the planet? And I feel like Patti Smith is also like this. Like, things that she says sound crazy. So she's like having an argument with a hotel sign, you know, but is she hallucinating that a hotel sign is talking to her? Or is she just fleshing out the mysteries of the universe, and that's just how you decide things, you know? That's how you get the information when you're a seer. Like, I just can't even explain it properly. She says weird stuff. She has crazy rambling thoughts, and you follow the thoughts sort of all the way through as she's describing these people that she knows and blah blah. And part of me is still confused about whether, you know, she's a bit crazy or just like the answer to all troubles on earth. I don't know. Okay, so the next one is one that I really liked, and it sort of falls into like the comfort reads that I've been reading lately, and I feel like it's the next step in recovery to reading. So like, this whole pandemic thing, everything fell apart, and I was like, I can't do any reading. Then the sort of like first step of recovery was just audiobooks for ages, and I feel like my next step is off the audiobooks and onto the proper books, but like really heavy on the comfort books, like, you know, series mysteries and like really saucy romance books and stuff like that. But I'm enjoying it, you know, it's a good phase. I feel like maybe my next phase is going to be like really hard the other way, you know, like only non-fiction and like, you know, books of really hard literary merit, you know, and then I'll maybe after that sort of find my middle ground again. But anyway, this one is called Girl Waits with Gun by Amy Stewart. And this is another aunt recommended this one to me. Not the one that's like potentially either insane or wise, but just like, you know, a normal aunt who likes good books. She said this was really good, and it's actually a series. I think it's got 3 of them now, and potentially more. The idea is it's based on a true story of the first female police detective in New York, so like 1914 or 1915 or something, and her sisters. So it's a cop sisters novel, so everyone in it is the main character and then her 2 sisters, and there's sort of like a mystery and there's a problem and people are sort of like threatening her, and she just ends up in all these problems, and then she has to go, and the family farm is in trouble, so she's got to go like find work and blah blah, and she helps solve this crime, and anyway, she ends up as the first police detective of New York. And even though it's a fictional story, it's based on a real story, and I just really liked it. It was really like, I don't know, it was like funny, and I don't know, I don't want to say cute because I don't want to like trivialize it, because it wasn't that trivial. It wasn't like a chick lit, I don't think. But I just really liked it. I like the characters. I like the sort of mystery of everything. Yeah, I think I'll read the other one of this. It was really good. Anyway. Oh shit. Okay, so in line with various comfort reads, the other one that I finished, and like I recommended this to my friend on Facebook from work. She was like, guys, like I've run out of books to read, like can somebody recommend me something? And you know me, I love to recommend something. So I did say about this one. I said about like 2 normal ones, and then this one, and then 2 other normal ones, so that it wouldn't seem super weird. But I did sort of like put like a brackets, like parentheses caveat on it, like it's better than the title makes it seem, you know. Anyway, it is Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. And there's a second one coming out as well, which I think I will probably read when it does come out. So this one is super saucy, loads of sex. It's definitely like your average bodice ripper, but weirdly better, and I can't tell quite why. Is it because the author of this book has like a Cambridge degree or a Harvard degree or something, and has thus put in it like proper things to think about, you know, like there's various things about philosophy and sort of academic study and stuff that sort of, I don't know, are a really strong side plot to the sex. Do you know what I mean? I actually really enjoyed it, and I wouldn't say that I'm hugely into just like pointless, plotless bodice rippers, you know. I like for there to be quite a bit of sex in it, but also to have, you know, relatively good plots going on the side. And I think, you know, this one was pretty good about that. So the idea is that it's this woman, she's like 25 or something, so obviously a spinster on the shelf, in the 19th century, so late 19th century, I think 1870s or 1880s or something. And she's part of this group of suffragists and one of the first women to go to Oxford University. But she's really poor, so she's got to make her own money, and also she's got a stipend, and part of the stipend is that she's got to be part of this suffragist movement. She's got to work for the cause. So one of the things that she has to do is learn about various people who will help them in their cause. So various men of like power and wealth. She's got to sort of learn about them and learn how to sort of make her arguments to them and potentially sort of convince them to back various bills or whatever. And one of the people, incidentally a very sexy, very wealthy man, is one of these people that they've sort of like pinpointed as someone that needs to be won over. So she goes about winning him over. It's good, it's good. Okay, so the next one finished. I thought it was going to be fantastic because the title and everything, things that were online about it, it just seemed like it was going to be the best. Ended up being a super dud, unfortunately, just for me. I don't know about you. It's called What Would Boudicca Do? Everyday Problems Solved by History's Most Remarkable Women, and it's by Elizabeth Foley and Beth Coates, I believe. So the idea, I think, so it's quite like readable, you know, it goes pretty quick and the writing is, you know, okay. And the idea is that it's a bunch of women who've done great things, you know, and have, you know, made loads of themselves and, you know, done amazing things, basically, and sort of what you can learn from those people through history. And I sort of found it to be a little bit like, you know, that like kids book, Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls or whatever. It's a bit like that. That book is for, you know, preteens and children, and this is for adults, you know, like it only really works for one type. It doesn't really work for adults. And I found that the people that are in it that everyone has heard of, the blurbs are really long. Like, I don't need, you know, several pages of a blurb about someone everyone knows everything about, you know, nothing is a surprise, whatever. And the people that, you know, were really new, that I'd never heard of, that were really interesting, the blurbs weren't long enough. You know, I ended up having to Google them anyway, so might as well just give me a list of all the people in the book, and I'll just do my own, like, Googling of them. And also, the sort of lessons or whatever that we're supposed to learn from them are just really obvious, stupid lessons, like you should save money. Duh. Guess I think I already knew that. Or like things like, you should give yourself breast exams. Like, thank you, Dr. Breast Exam. I'm aware, you know. Or you should try not to suffer from, imposter syndrome. Like, everyone knows you're not supposed to suffer from imposter syndrome, but we do it anyway. That's just, you know, what people do. You don't need to tell me not to do it. You need to tell me how to not do it. Don't just tell me about a person who was really good at not doing it. You know, good for them. Anyway, I just felt like it was like a bit of a dud, and it sort of, I wasn't really into it. It went on for ages, and anyway, I like the idea, and I think it just didn't work out properly. So I wouldn't say for certain don't read that one, because maybe just for you it would be different. Do you know what I mean? I think I'm going to stick this in the hut, the book hut. So there's like a phone booth over by us, a bit up the road, that has, you know, it's like a book exchange. I reckon I'm going to take this up there. Get something better. So another one is an audiobook that I finished that was on my BorrowBox app, like my library's audio book app. And I wasn't really sure about it at first, but, you know, you do what the BorrowBox says and you don't argue. You just do it or you'll lose it. So it's like, my kid is having a meltdown because she wants dessert. We haven't had dinner yet, obviously, because it's lunchtime. So the audiobook that I wasn't really sure about, I was like, I haven't really heard the best things. Like, I really like the author, but like, I don't really know. I just did put it out anyway. So the audiobook was 10 minutes and 38 seconds in the Strange World by Elif Shafak. And I quite like Elif Shafak. I read one of hers, I think 40 Rules of Love or something, because my friend at work told me it was going to be really good. And it sort of like got me hooked on her. I quite like her as an author. So I was like, I'll give this one a go, even though the premise of it is that it's about this woman who's just been murdered. And sort of like this sort of idea that it takes 10 minutes and 38 seconds for the mind to fully shut off after someone has died. So she's sort of like laying in a dumpster dead. It's terrible. And then for 10 minutes and 38 seconds, she's recalling parts of her life. So it's not that her life flashes before her eyes before she dies. It's that she's already dead and now it's doing it. And it's sort of like a new and sort of interesting way to tell her life story in Turkey. She was really poor, and then, you know, she had two mothers because her dad had two wives and blah, blah, blah. Just like really interesting things like describing her childhood, and that was really interesting. And she had a lot of these really good characters in it. So she died in the 90s, this character is, and she was a bit of a sort of wild character. So even though she had a traditional family growing up, she ended up being like in a bit of a weird sort of not so traditional group of friends and everything. And the group of friends were really just like artsy and weird, and I really liked them. So I would say that was actually really good. And I didn't really expect it to be so good. And I think the opposite happened of the Boudicca one. Like, I didn't really think it was going to be very good, and it ended up being better than that, and thus is good. Whereas the Boudicca one, I expected it to be really good, and it was just sort of okay, and thus bad. That's all the ones that I finished. So now I've got two that I'm in the middle of at the minute. One is The Bromance Book Club by Lyssa K. Adams. And again, this very much follows my comfort reading romance selection. And it's pretty good. Like, I'm only a little bit of the way through it, but it's starting out like, you know, readable and enjoyable, and I like it. The idea is that this like baseball player, this like you know, big leagues sports guy, his wife that he really loves, and the mother of his kids, is leaving him because, like, she said to him, oh, I've been faking orgasms for the whole of our marriage, and he like blew up about it and was really angry, and so anyway, like their marriage fell apart, and now she's divorcing him, and he's like really cut up about it. And his teammates, all of his friends who are also like big leaguers and like wealthy and like big in the city and everything, they have a secret club, like a secret romance book club that they're going to use to teach him how to get his wife back. So he's basically got to go to romance school, which is the romance book club, in order to learn how to be like a proper husband to his wife. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's pretty funny. I like the characters already. Like, I just like the dynamic of it, and I'm pretty excited about doing that. I'm probably gonna do that after this. It's a very non-traditional lunch break. Whoop. People on the road, every once in a while, they look up and see that I'm talking to myself in the mirror or in the window, and I obviously do a double take because I think it's weird, and it is weird, so what can I do? What can I do? Anyway, the next one that I'm in the middle of is also a bit of a comfort read. It's actually YA, which is something that I always tell myself it's gonna be okay, but it's not. Like, I'm out of the YA zone in my life. I just don't really like them anymore, and still I keep coming back because I used to like them so much. And I've done it again, really, but I have hopes. I'm still really optimistic about this one because I've heard really good things. So someone, I don't know where, like on Goodreads or like a friend or just online or I don't know, somewhere, somebody said this book, Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, is like if Harry Potter was more like Tom Riddle. And I feel like that's what pulled me into it in the end. I was like, oh, it's YA, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But then it was a pound at the Pound Trap ages ago, and I heard, is Harry Potter like Tom Riddle? And then I was just sort of in it. That's just me, I'm just doing it. I feel like that's going to be really good. So it's like people at a magic school. It's like this kid and his friend or something are the main characters, and they go to, this like Hogwarts type school or whatever. And when it's the holidays or like the vacation time for the school, he's got to go back to like this terrible place, you know? Like, it's just like Harry Potter basically, but I think it is, a bit shadier, a bit dodgier, and I do love Harry Potter, so I think I'm pretty excited about it. Like, it's quite thick, so I don't know what's going to happen. Has anyone read this? Probably loads of people have. Like, did you enjoy it? And if you enjoyed it, why? Because, well, it's not like I'm going to stop, am I? I'm just going to keep reading it, and I think I'm going to like it, so I don't know what I'm like mishing about. Okay, so the last one is the book that I've acquired, and it's the same aunt. So when I told my Aunt Joan that I finally read this book and loved it and have to get all the other ones again, she was like, that is amazing. Can I tell you about this new book that I found at the library that I'm loving at the minute? And it was this one. She told me about it and I googled it, and looks good, especially because like May, loads of people are doing the springathon, you know, they're reading like nature books. And I was like, I don't really have that many nature books, so I'm not really going to do it, you know, like I can't commit myself to sort of like being in the mood for that all the time anyway, so I'm not going to do Springathon, but it has sort of put my mind to nature writing type books, you know, so now that I'm sort of thinking about them all the time, I'm like, ooh, I bet that's peaceful and lovely and very interesting. So when my Aunt Jen said about this, I was like, yes. So The Hidden Life of Trees by Peter, something German, I can't say, makes the case that the forest is a social network. He draws on groundbreaking scientific discoveries to describe how trees are like human families. Tree parents live together with their children, communicate with them, support them as they grow, share nutrients with those who are sick or struggling, and even warn each other of impending dangers. This guy also shares his deep love of woods and forests, explaining the amazing processes of life, death, and regeneration he has observed in his woodland. Like, I sort of read some of the reviews on it as well, and people are just loving it, and it's always got, like, you know, I love a good picture book, me, so, I mean, it doesn't have a lot, it only has, like, a very few, but I still like it. Okay, anyway, so that's that one. It's called, The Hidden Life of Trees by Peter something. Right, so that's all of them. I hope that you liked watching this video. I hope that it was really fast. I don't really know if it was fast, but we'll see now. Anyone who has anything to say about them, like books that they've read that they liked or didn't like or whatever, or any sort of like thoughts they have about any of these, please put them down in the comments because I love a good comment conversation. And I believe that that is the end.
What are you eating?
Or seaweed.
I
Do you want some?
Ew, I don't like seaweed.
Why not? Have you ever had it?
I did when I was sleeping, and it tastes gross.
How can you eat food when you're sleeping?
Well, I just don't want it.
Just give it a go. Give it a lick.
No. No, I.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you all next time. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Bye.